Here we go. Joel Embiid made a statement last night in Boston, put up 35 in a win over the Celtics.
Cornet.
A good try by the Celtics, though. Then he told Sixers coach Doc Rivers, quote, "I'm back," as he walked off the floor. Guy dominated on and off the court. Antoine, what does Embiid's return mean for the rest of the NBA?
Well, for the rest of the NBA, obviously Embiid being back is tremendous for Philly as they're trying to build some team continuity, and George Hill will join them soon too as well. But I think last night showed that Embiid can score in a lot of different ways. He got to the free throw line 20 times. That's something that we hadn't seen in the past, his ability to be able to use his dominance, get to the free throw line. Obviously, we know he's a good free throw shooter, but it shows that he's almost back to where he needs to be. He's not back quite yet. I want to see a couple more games. And with these 20 games left, if he can stay healthy, the MVP might be still in the making for him. With all the injuries that's went on, with all the different guys in the league, the MVP is still out there. So we can't just scratch him off the list yet. With the way he's came back these 2 games and the dominance they had, obviously still sitting on top of the Eastern Conference.
Twan, the most dominant player, the best player on the planet, is back. Man, I don't know what that move is, the little shuffle, shoot thing that James Harden brought to life a couple years ago. But, man, look at this. He's looking at that one right there. He's 7 feet tall. Man, this team is the real deal. The maturation of Embiid is just impressive. Going back to the bubble, and I'll say it, I was crushing Embiid. Remember his body language? And a lot of us were saying, man, look at his body language. He's not a great leader. This team won't ever win. You insert Doc Rivers, Embiid just improves on the court, off the court. We're talking about within 3 months. I don't know how he ascends to this level. This team is the real deal. But here's what's going to happen. They're going to face the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs, and they're going to lose in 6. But they'll compete. They will battle them. The Brooklyn Nets is not going to be easy for them, but they will win in 6. But this dude right here is the real deal, man. Last night showed how impressive he is and why he's the most dominant and the best player on the planet right now.
So I had 2 takeaways, and I think Antoine's absolutely right that Embiid's still alive for MVP, surprisingly. One is, when you watch these highlights, and I know the Celtics didn't have Tristan Thompson, but right now this would be the 1 versus 8 matchup. And look at the centers the Celtics are trying to throw at Embiid. It's like Luke Cornet, give it a try.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Robert Williams, can you do it? Mo Wagner, are you available?
Nice.
All right, screw it. Taco Fall, put a hand up and see what you can do. And all of them got that work all night long. But the other thing that's really relevant is the Sixers, with this win, they are back in a tie for first place in the East with Brooklyn. And while I don't think home court advantage is going to be the deciding factor in the East this year, I do think between Philly, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn, the team that gets the 1 seed is at such a decided advantage, Wilds, because they're only going to have to beat one of the other two teams as opposed to having to beat both of them. So the fact that Philly right now is in really good position for the 1 seed and not have to play Philly or Milwaukee in round 2, I'm sorry, Brooklyn and Milwaukee in round 2 when they play each other, to me is the most notable thing for the rest of the NBA in the Sixers' chances to make the finals.
Okay, just to dig in on the Celtics, the Sixers absolutely dominated the Celtics. They're 3-0 against them this year. If this was a playoff matchup, it'd be a first-round exit for the C's. And we can see how much Embiid just tore them apart. 3-0, averaging darn near 40 points a game, shooting 60%. This is not good. So Danny Ainge, buddy, you can get ready for that postseason presser. It's going to be ugly. If they hold on and make the playoffs. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, not great.
Okay. Yeah, throw Danny Ainge under the bus. None of it is his fault. Head out west.
Jenna, sorry.
Warriors came back to beat the Bucks by 1. I take it personally. Thanks to 41 points from Stephen Curry and a game-saving block by Andrew Wiggins. Big win for the Dubs. They needed it. They snap a 3-game losing streak. Twan, was the Warriors' comeback against a Bucks team without Giannis a big deal?
I think it was a big deal. You know, Golden State right now is playing really hard to try to see if they can get into a playing game. I think right now they're sitting at like 10, so they have an opportunity to have a shot to get into the playoffs. But after that debacle and after losing by, I think, 50, 60 points last week, any type of win right now is a confidence builder to get this group back together, to get them to playing decent basketball. They was not having a bad season. We all know Steph is having a great season individually, but this is a nice comeback win regardless who's on the floor or not for Golden State, who I think would accept being into a play-in game for the playoffs. I think that would be an acceptable season for them this year. But just to get back on the right track, and obviously for Milwaukee, Nick just spoke about the seeding process. This is a bad loss for Milwaukee, even with Giannis being out. You want to win these games, especially when you play so hard for 3.5 quarters and have control of the game. You want to close these games out without your superstar. So Golden State, this is good for Golden State right now to be able to come back and get this win on their home floor.
Twan, man, look, I don't know the makeup of the, well, I know the makeup of the basketball player. Y'all totally different than football players. I've never been in an NBA locker room, so I don't know how it is there. So small picture, it means a lot. It's a big deal because you've been losing, you've been getting your butt whooped the last 3 weeks. And losing in the NFL locker room, it is terrible. It's toxic. It's one of the worst environments you can be in. And I would have to assume that it's the same thing in the NBA locker room. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry, multi-million-dollar athletes. And you're talking about being on a platform and being in front of a microscope every day. You need to perform every single day. I need your best. So right now, yes, it was a great win. But big picture, this doesn't thrust you back into the conversation of, oh, we're back on track, because you guys are not even close to becoming NBA royalty again. So big picture, this team needs a lot of work to get back to where they were years ago.
That's right, Brandon, but I think the Warriors spent too much time worried about the big picture and not enough time worried about actually winning games. You had Steve Kerr earlier in the year saying we're not going to chase wins. Well, now Steph plays 38 minutes in a regulation game because they are chasing wins because they want to make the play. And you have Draymond earlier this week or last week saying, yeah, the play-in tournament doesn't excite me. Well, it's the only thing left to be excited for. And this, by the way, is the only way the Warriors can beat good teams, is if Steph goes absolutely incandescent. And he did last night. Right. Admission for me, Jenna, I was so excited about the NBA last night. There were 2 super late games East Coast time last night. Clippers, Blazers, but that game was a blowout. And this game here, man, I was up till a little after 12:15, and I'm like, oh, the Bucks are up by 10 with 5 minutes left. I turned it off and fell asleep. Woke up this morning, found out the Warriors had staged a crazy comeback, so I missed the end of this. For the Warriors, who had lost 7 of 8, this is an important victory. And if Steph has to play 38 minutes to get wins, then he's got to play 38 minutes to get wins, because this team can't be the 11th place team in the West and miss the play-in altogether, and they were barreling towards that.
And he did it with that bruised tailbone last night, too. Let's stay out west. Clippers looking good last night. Really good. Like Nick didn't have to watch it good. Like PG had 36, like Kawhi had 29, and like everyone is all in on Rondo. Clips making the magic happen. Antoine, what was your reaction to the Clippers' blowout win over the Blazers last night?
I thought it was a solid win. I mean, the Clippers right now are finally getting healthy. You think about the addition of DeMarcus Cousins and Rondo. Patrick Beverly was back in the starting lineup last night. So it was good to see them have a full unit. And if they want to get to aspirations of getting to the NBA Finals, they need to be at full strength. And Paul George has been kind of up and down over the last 2-3 weeks. I missed some games. So it was good to see him back on top of his game last night. But I was impressed. They're deeper now. I don't know how much DeMarcus Cousins is going to be able to help him. He looked good last night. I know Nick doesn't like the Rondo pickup. He thought it's one of the most horrible things, but I still believe Rondo is going to be very effective for them come playoff time. So I still believe he's going to be okay for him. And get Patrick Beverly back. As they get healthy, they'll be a lot better. I like what Kawhi Leonard's at right now. Just playing through injuries, making sure he plays every game, not using that load management as an excuse. I think he's going to be much better come playoff time. But really impressed with the win last night.
So it was a great win, but also it wasn't a surprising win in this regard. The Blazers can't beat these guys. The Blazers have played this version of the Clippers since they added Kawhi and Paul George 5 times. They are 0-5, and it's more concerning than that. Dame is yet to have a good game against this version of the Clippers, and in fact, Dame has had 3 truly bad games all year. The very first game of the season and the 2 games against the Clippers. And right now, if the playoffs started today, 3 versus 6 is Clippers, Blazers. The Blazers would rather play any team in the league in the playoffs than the Clippers, who they've shown no ability to even compete with.